Good evening, dear friends. Hope you're all doing well. We are right now going to do the 91st day of the Daily Mitzvah, continuing for the 5th day, various mitzvahs on the theme of forbidden intimate sexual relations. And here we go. First mitzvah for today is the third and final mitzvah in the prohibitions of homosexuality, that's forbidden for a male to be sexually intimate with another male. And there is a additional specific niche mitzvah on this theme, that it is forbidden for a man to be intimate, sexually intimate, with his father's brother, his paternal uncle, specifically him. As the Torah says, Ervas achi avicha le'segala, you shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's brother. But now, one second, don't we already have a prohibition forbidding homosexuality between any man and man? So why do we need a special mitzvah for this situation? And then Rambam says, yeah, indeed, your uncle is already included in the general prohibition, and therefore somebody who violates and is sexually intimate with his father's brother, he is violating two mitzvahs: the general prohibition against homosexuality and this specific mitzvah against homosexuality with your father's brother. Now, the Rambam says a general idea. Generally speaking, these violations, if there is there has to be a whole, so this is the way it works. Generally speaking, this is your business between God and you. And yeah, there's a punishment called kares, which is not a punishment that a human court would administer. It is a punishment between you and God, that you have greatly compromised the integrity of your soul, and that's really an act of God to you. The Talmud goes into different discussions of what are the actual implications of somebody who is punished with kares, which is a compromise of the integrity of the soul. So what happens then? So we don't have to get into that now, but that's between you and God. But if there were two independent witnesses who warned you in front of a Jewish court, a court that had a minimum 23 justices, and warned you explicitly, saying this act that you plan on doing is an absolute violation, and if you do it, this is going to be your punishment. And this man or this woman, depending on any of the mitzvahs that we've spoken about over the past few days, then goes immediately ahead and still does it. And it's in the times of the Holy Temple. So today, none of this could apply. And what else? Then there would be an active death penalty administered by the court if there was witnesses and warnings, and all these things were put into place, which was basically never the case. So to have a human court, a Jewish court, with 23 justices to actually administer a punishment for any of these sexual prohibitions of sexual activities, it was an extremely high bar. That was very difficult. Generally speaking, this was an affair between you and God, and the punishment was kares. That's the general point that the Rambam makes over here, to understand the punishments of all of these mitzvahs that we are learning about. And with that, let us move on to the next mitzvah. The second mitzvah for today is the prohibition against adultery. It is forbidden for a man to be intimate with a woman who is married to another man. As the Torah says, "Vel eshes amischa le'sitein shchavtecha lezara," and to the wife of your friend, you shall not be intimate. You shall not lay with her. Now, what happens if there is such a relationship between a man and a married woman? Both of them are put to death at the hands of the court, if all the previous criteria are met, that there's eyewitnesses, and they were warned in advance in front of the court, and it was in the times of the Holy Temple, etc., etc. Otherwise, like we said earlier, the punishment is kares. It's between them and God, and their punishment is that the compromising of their soul, which is an act of God. And the Rambam says that this mitzvah is repeated in the Ten Commandments. That in the Ten Commandments it says clearly, you shall not commit adultery, lo yitinaf. But even though this mitzvah, this prohibition, is repeated twice, nonetheless we only count it as one mitzvah. And the Rambam explains why it wouldn't be counted as two, but we're not going to get into that right now. That's not important for now. And the third mitzvah for today, final mitzvah, is that it's forbidden for a man to be intimate, sexually intimate with his wife, even though it's his wife, while she's in a state of Nidah. Nidah is a Hebrew word, and it represents the time where the woman is going through her menstrual cycle, her menses. And during these 7 days from the onset of her menstrual cycle, she is considered off limits to her husband, and they cannot be sexually intimate. And as the Torah says, "Vel isha benidas tumasa lo yisikrav," and to your wife, when she is impure in her state of nida, you shall not go near her. And the only act that can end this cycle, the menstrual cycle, and the cycle, this phase of separation between husband and wife, and we're speaking about not total separation, of course, God forbid, but separation in physical, intimate connection, is if the woman goes to mikvah following her 7 days of her menses, and there's a period called of checking to make sure that she is pure and she's ready to go to mikvah. There's a process for that as well. That is when they could resume being husband and wife and being physically intimate with each other. But as long as the woman did not go to mikvah, even if her menstrual cycle is long over, she's still considered in this state of nida, and it is forbidden for them as a couple to be intimate until she goes to mikvah. Dear friends, those are our mitzvahs for today. We'll see you all soon for our next installment. Sei gesund.